Even more great services like Apple Pay. Make payments directly from your smartphone. And People Pay, a fast, easy, secure way to send and receive money from your smartphone. Visit us on the internet to learn more at ctbi.com. That's ctbi.com.
Community Trust Bank, building communities built on trust. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
Expect showers and thunderstorms possible today with a high near 60. Showers and thunderstorms overnight with an overnight low around 50. Partly sunny tomorrow, high is going to be near 55. Mostly clear Friday night with a low around 29. And Saturday will be sunny with a high near 42. Mostly cloudy overnight Saturday night with a low around 31. And on into Sunday, more rain moving back into the forecast, high of 46. Showers and thunderstorms likely today, high of 60.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Health First Community Health Center.
All the hype of the holidays, and in a flash, it's gone. But what doesn't leave in any hurry are the extra bills and expenses you may have tallied up this season. If the financial excess of the holiday season has you worried, visit ABC Finance. Start the year in control of your finances with the help of ABC Finance. We offer loans from $500 to $12,000, plus no payment until February. Apply online at abcfinanceonline.com or stop by our locations on Fort Campbell Boulevard in Hopkinsville and the Princeton Plaza in Princeton. All the hype of the holidays, and in a flash, it's gone. But what doesn't leave in any hurry are the extra bills and expenses you may have tallied up this season. If the financial excess of the holiday season has you worried, visit ABC Finance. Start the year in control of your finances with the help of ABC Finance. We offer loans from $500 to $12,000, plus no payment until February. Apply online at abcfinanceonline.com or stop by our locations on Fort Campbell Boulevard in Hopkinsville and the Princeton Plaza in Princeton.
Are you ready to sell your home? Call Farless Realty today and let a realtor sell it for you. Ready to buy a home? Don't waste precious time. Farless Realty can help, and interest rates are still reasonably low. They'll work hard to find you a home that will fit you, your family, and your budget. Contact Farless Realty at 270-365-5058. Or stop by 323 South Jefferson Street in Princeton, Kentucky. Check out all their listings on Facebook and at farlessrealty.com.
Our loyal listener deals are all about local small businesses. Save 50% on great deals with these great Princeton merchants. Loyal listener deals are brought to you in part by these fine businesses: Adams Breezy Hill Farm and Restaurant, Bella Marie Boutique, Cozy Living Interiors and Boutique, Black Patch Grill, Ziobro's Formals, Three Bows and a Bell, Brantley Furniture Store. New deals are available each week from these merchants and dozens of others throughout our area. Our loyal listener deals are all about local small businesses. You can always save at least 50% from these merchants. Get your deals today at WPKYonline.com. They're a great way to learn about and try new businesses that you've never visited before. Tell your friends it's easy to use loyal listener deals and even easier to save. Support local businesses and save money. Everybody wins.
It's time for your SportsEdge.com Sideline Report with Todd Griffin. Talking sports and more here on 1580 103.3 WPKY and worldwide at WPKYonline.com. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sideline Report. This is Todd Griffin in the WPKY studios this morning, and joined this morning by the WPKY Tiger sports team. Dennis Stevens and Bob Hayes in the studio with us this morning, getting ready for the West Kentucky Hoops Classic later today. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Todd.
How's everything going?
Doing great. First of all, Bob and I both want to congratulate you on your new position here with WPKY and the role you're going to play in sports with the radio station and the Sports Edge, and we're looking for big things, right?
Absolutely. It's great to be with a radio station that definitely is on the upbound here in Princeton, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I'd like to tell everybody exactly what all is going to happen in the future, but I'm not really sure. We've got a lot of ideas, and we're just going to kind of see how it rolls.
And that's what we have to do. A year from now, we'll look back and say, "Wow, we did this, we did that," and the future is going to be even brighter.
We do know coming up today at the Cab, we've got the West Kentucky Hoops Classic and 7 games on tap. It's $7 for one day, so that's $1 a game. You can't beat that.
Oh, you've got wind warnings out. You've got bad weather in the forecast. Come on out to the gym and see some good young players. Caldwell County's teams, we're going to talk about those a little bit. The boys are on a pretty good roll right now. The girls are playing strong ball after that tough tournament at Marshall County. So you're not going to beat that bargain for $7 to come out. There's food at the concession stand, so we'd love to see that place packed.
That starts today at 11 o'clock at the Cab. We're going to talk about the West Kentucky Hoops Classic and a lot more, but right now we need to get to a timeout. You're listening to the Sideline Report on WPKY.
Get spruced up with quality mulch from Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road in Princeton. We all know that buying mulch by the truckload saves money, and it's only $25 per load for dark natural mulch at Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road, 1/2 mile past City County Park. Bashir Sawmill also buys standing timber and timberland. Give them a call today, 270-365-2330. That's Bashir Sawmill, family owned and operated in Princeton for over 50 years.
Here's a reminder from your Princeton Electric Plant Board. Meter tampering is dangerous. Tampering with an electric meter is not only dangerous, it is dishonest and against the law. Stealing electricity by tampering with an electric meter may result in your arrest and can even risk your life. Tampering with meters results in increased utility bills that everyone has to pay. If you see anyone tampering with an electric meter, call the Princeton Electric Plant Board right away at 270-365-2031. Princeton Electric Plant Board, Princeton's #1 energy source.
This is Mallory Hancock Lawrence, and we love our Caldwell and Lyon County friends. We invite you to come to Cada's anytime you can to shop with us. We're making it even easier for you. Whether you work in Cada's or just come to town for a visit, stop in and shop with us. But if you're in a hurry, you can pre-order your groceries at hancocksneighborhoodmarket.com. It's so easy and convenient. Of course, we want to see your smiling face anytime we can, but if you're in a hurry, hancocksneighborhoodmarket.com is the way to go. Hancock's Neighborhood Market, Cada.
Mrs. Abernathy, some things are meant to be shared. Others are not, like these new loaded nachos. They're meals worth of chips topped with sirloin steak or pork carnitas that I plan on keeping to myself.
But I need your name for the yearbook.
My name is Coach. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's my nacho time.
But
nacho time. Nacho time. Shh. Nacho time. Olay the day, Gertie.
Try our new loaded nachos topped with sirloin steak or pork carnitas. Olay the day at Taco John's.
Taco John's, Princeton.
Back on the Sideline Report on a Thursday morning at 1580 103.3 WPKY. Dennis Stevens and Bob Hayes in the studio with us this morning, getting ready for the West Kentucky Hoops Classic coming up a little bit later on today at the Cab Gym. Action begins at 11 o'clock. Dawson Springs and Ballard Memorial's girls will open things. Then it's a Caldwell County doubleheader after that with the boys playing Fulton City and the girls playing Martha Lane Collins out of Shelbyville. So a busy day on tap, guys, up at the gym.
Yeah, we're looking to get it started big time with the boys and see if they can continue this role that they're on right now. Looking forward to watching how Darien plays against some of the better talent around. And we've got how many states? 5, 6 states coming in.
Yeah, 5 states in it.
So it's going to be an exciting time at the Cab next couple of days.
13 different teams in the field this year. It's 14 games over 2 days, and mentioned it's $7 a day. I think $13 for a 2-day pass. So that's $1 a game. You can't beat that for entertainment value.
Absolutely not. And with some of the talent coming in, I know there's a team from Oklahoma, a team from Indiana, and of course a couple teams from Tennessee, and Martha Lane Collins from Shelbyville. So the people that will come out will see good basketball, obviously.
The schedule today continues after the Caldwell County girls game with Collins. You've got Clarksville Northeast playing Booker T. Washington out of Memphis. That game's at 3:30. At 5, you have Sapulpa, Oklahoma, which is just fun to say, against Webb School from Bell Buckle, Tennessee. At 6:30, maybe the premier matchup of the opening day, Hamilton Southeastern from Indiana plays Center Hill out of Olive Branch, Mississippi, and I think Center Hill is 14-0 coming into play, and the team out of Indiana, I believe, is 7-1, so that's going to be a fun matchup right there.
Good basketball all day long here, and enough interesting matchups that it will keep the public's interest for sure.
You've actually got 2 second-ranked teams in their respective classes in 2 different states coming in, and from Oklahoma and I think Mississippi also.
Yeah, Center Hill is number 2 in 5A in Mississippi, and Sapulpa, Oklahoma is number 2 in 6A in that state. So some pretty good basketball and some good teams coming in. I mentioned Booker T. Washington. They're 9-1 on the season. Webb School's 11-3 and has Keon Johnson, one of the most highly touted juniors in the country. He's a guard, and a lot of people saying he's maybe headed to Tennessee. A lot of big schools on his list. So, and the Indiana school has a 7-2 kid in the middle. So that'll be fun to check out too.
Oh, we had I think it was last year before, Evansville had a team in and had a bunch of tall kids. And you would think that they would just mop up the floor with anybody that they played. Christian County came in and was just out rebounding them, more athleticism. Mm-hmm. So just because you've got somebody they had a front line, I think 6'8", 6'10", 6'10", and Christian County just wore them out. So it's going to be fun seeing some 7'2" kids, some highly recruited guards. It's going to be a big range of kids at the gym this next couple of days.
Well, and my understanding on that Hamilton Southeastern Center Hill game is that you have a bit of contrast in styles there. I think Center Hill wants to get it and go, and maybe the Indiana team wants to play a little more deliberate.
Right.
Which is typical Hoosier basketball.
So we'll see who wins out in that match. But, the tough draw of the day, really, it looks to me like is Caldwell County's guys because they've got to play twice.
They do. They're going to wrap it up tonight. I think it's scheduled for like 8 o'clock. And this stays fairly on schedule. You're probably looking at maybe 8:30 or so realistically for that game to tip off. But tough day for the guys. You're right, playing 2 games in one day. Then they'll come back tomorrow, and each team from Caldwell County gets a game. So we'll have 5 Caldwell County games on today and tomorrow here on WPKY. So we're looking forward to that big day at the gym.
And you guys will be on the air about 12:15 with the first game today. And Caldwell County's boys playing Fulton City. Been a bit of a rough season for the Bulldogs out of Fulton City. They're just 2-8. Caldwell County, though, has played really well since dropping those first 2 games to start the season.
Caldwell County really played well last weekend up at Butler County. Todd, I got to see the first game, which we lost to Logan County. Logan County has a nice team.
Oh, yeah.
And on Friday, we played 2 games. I had to stay back here to run the Salvation Army kettle, so I didn't get to see those, but I saw all kinds of shots and pictures that Suzanne and my wife sent to me, and they really played well in those 2 games. Won one in overtime and won the other one by 2, and a lot of players contributing to the Tigers' effort right now.
Well, and that Logan County game was pretty close. The Tigers actually had the lead at halftime, and I think it was a 4-point game going to the fourth quarter before Logan opened it up a little bit late, but that Logan County team is now 8-2, so a pretty good team over, and I guess that's the 4th region. And I think against us they made 20 of 21 free throws, so that'll help you put a game away too.
Well, and shot well from the 3-point line too. And in that game, coming down the stretch, 2.5 minutes to go, it's still a 3 or 4 point game, but they got stops and they would go down and score, and pretty soon it was out to an 8, 9, 11 point lead, and the game was over.
Well, and one thing we need to mention going back to last week is the 2A championships and the big win Caldwell County got over Paducah Tillman the week before last, and that's all coming up. The 2A thing, I believe it's January 10th for the next round, and the good thing about the sectional there is the champion and the runner-up both get to go to state.
And looking at who we played this year, I know that Logan County was defeated the next day after we played them. Webster beat them, and we've beaten Webster this year over here in the Cab. So all those teams were comparable last weekend, and we just came out on top of the score twice rather than all 3 times, which would have been our goal. But the kids played well.
The Tigers with 2 overtime wins on the road this year. An overtime win up at Muhlenberg County, which is a tough place to play. Mm-hmm. An overtime win over the host school up at Butler County in the last game of the day. After the Tigers had just played a game an hour and a half earlier, I think there was only 1 game in between Caldwell County's 2 games.
And what I understand on that one is that we ate a lot of pizza before that first game, and we came out sluggish and couldn't get anything done, trailed by double digits, maybe even trailed by double digits at halftime, or had cut it down to an 8, 9 point deficit, but then roared to life in the second half.
Yeah, those were good wins, and when you go to these holiday events, you want to see some good teams, and I think we're going to see that out here this year as well. The Fulton City game, if there's an easy game for Caldwell, easy being relative, that's probably it when you look at the lineup of teams in the Hoops Classic.
Yeah, we're a team that's going to have to come out and play hard, no matter if it's Fulton City or if it's Muhlenberg or whoever it is. We've got a good team. You got one of the premier scorers in the state in Darren Boyd with us, but you've also got to have some help out of everybody on that bench. We had a game, and Bob, you can help me out on this. I think it was Paducah Tillman, but early on it was the play of a kid like Darius Riley that was getting offensive rebounds, keeping us in the game on the boards with the hustle before the team really got clicking and started putting some shots down. So it's going to take a team effort every time out for this bunch.
Well, and it's not always about scoring. You know, a lot of people look at how many points people get, but there's a lot of other ways to contribute to team success than just scoring points.
Yeah, and it happened that game big time because that kept us in that first quarter.
Right. Adarius comes out, grabs every rebound in sight the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, and then later in that game, Trip Branch comes through, Caden Fralix comes through, John Davis comes through, Jamarius Blaine comes through, and really when we get into the game today with Fulton City, I saw them play last week at Butler County, and they have a nice little team, but they just don't have they've got maybe 2 players. And so I think our bench will get a lot of action today in that game, and our bench needs a lot of action because they play well when they come in.
Well, Darien's going to get a lot of the attention from other teams, and sometimes that opens up things for other people to, if not get points, to get rebounds or play defense or whatever. And, I think there's just a lot of opportunity there for the Tigers. And so far they've taken advantage of it, 7 wins in their last 8 games, and it hasn't been against an easy schedule by any means.
Absolutely. No cupcakes. We might see one today, but the last 7 games have not been, or 8 games, no cupcakes.
And they stumbled a little bit coming out, I think, until everybody found their role and what to really expect out there. And the last several games we've gone with a very small lineup to get out on the floor, but the shooting has been great. You've got a kid like Trip Branch that can make or break a game in a close game because he's got a nice shot from that three-point line.
And talk about Caldwell County's girls. They will play today against Collins High School, and I don't know much about Collins. I know they're 6-6 on the season. The Lady Tigers are 5-5. Lady Tigers have played pretty well at times, but went down to Marshall County last week and saw some really good teams in that tournament. And I don't know much about the Dyer County, Tennessee team that the Lady Tigers lost to, but I know Marshall County and Graves County are both expecting really big seasons.
Especially Graves County, I think. I know Marshall is still coming with their first-year coach Lange at the helm there, but I don't know how we play. We didn't play well against Graves County. They got us by about 40 points, and I'm not sure how we looked against Marshall, but it's good. It's good to go out and play competition so that you know what you have to work on when you get back in the gym. And Coach Thomas does a good job of having her teams play tough competition. And I'm looking forward to today's game. See how we bounce back.
You can look back at last year, Todd, on this girls team, and I think it was a couple of games in this very Hoops Classic that they played in last year. Did a good job. Picked up a couple of big wins after struggling early in the season. They let that build on through the season. They played some tough teams, ended up being district champions out of nowhere. So this tournament could be a good stepping stone for them to really get their confidence up. And Coach Thomas has said on 2 or 3 of the post-game interviews this season, she's purposely scheduled some tougher teams this year because she said that's how they're going to get better. And it's starting to show. You're 5-5 on a pretty tough schedule right now.
Well, and if you look toward the end of the season, I think it's all about trying to compete with Madisonville and Hopkins County Central, and the Lady Tigers have had some success against those teams. And right now, if you look at some of the standings or some of the rankings, I think it looks like Caldwell and Madisonville probably the top 2 girls teams in the district again.
Right.
Absolutely, and as Dennis said, I think it takes the girls a little bit longer to gel maybe, as we were talking about last year in the 8th, 9th, 10th game of the season when they came together in the Hoops Classic last year and played pretty good basketball from that point on, having a 5-5 record right now and undergoing some tough competition. I look for us to be in the same position now as we were last year going forward.
And talking about the district, if you look on the boys' side, Madisonville is going to be a big hill to climb for Caldwell County, but the Tigers are kind of positioning themselves as a dark horse, not just in the 7th district, but maybe the 2nd region as well.
And if you leave one of us alone, or two of us alone, or three of us alone concentrating on Darien, those kids can bite you.
And it's an uphill battle because Madisonville is the prohibitive favorite in our district. I think everybody would agree on that after they lose against UHA by 1 point late.
Right, after leading much of the game, yeah.
So that's going to be the clear favorite. But like Bob said, if you get Caldwell County out and Tripp's hitting shots and Caden's hitting shots and Boyd's having a good night and we stay out of foul trouble and try to rebound with them. But that's a big Madisonville team, and rebounding could come down to be the big issue.
Yeah, you just got to find some work inside there. Again, you don't necessarily need a whole lot of points, but you got to find somebody to play a little defense, grab you some rebounds, take a charge or two every now and then. I mean,
all certainly handle the ball.
Yeah,
yeah, take care of the ball. Get Cole Smiley involved in the rebound. He could play a big. He could be a big cog in that one when we play Madisonville.
Well, how are you guys getting ready for a big day today with 3 games on tap?
We just have so much fun. That's what people ask us about a lot of times during football season and basketball season. It's just a lot of fun to get out and do these things. It's something we have a good time with, and we enjoy sports. We just like to get out and watch some good teams, and Bob carries it right over into baseball season. It's like it's year-round for us, but mainly it's just getting out and having a good time.
And as Dennis says, it's something I look forward to. I never knew 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would be doing this, much less enjoying it the way I am. And 2 games is just what we always do sometimes on a boy-girl doubleheader. So we're looking forward. I may get in bed a little bit later tonight than I normally would, but that's the breaks.
Well, we hope things stay on schedule pretty much. That last game starting at 8 o'clock, at least that's the plan. And in the past, it's been pretty much on schedule. There's not much downtime between games. It's like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and they keep things moving. And I do want to mention a couple things. Sapulpa, Oklahoma, which, again, is really fun to say, was actually here last night and worked out in the Cab Gym. And
I know that's an Indian word, Todd.
Yeah.
You know what it translates
into?
I don't. English? We'll find out
need
today.
To look into that. And Tori Hammett, who helps put all this together for Caldwell County High School, says that Center Hill is the number 2 team in the entire state of Mississippi in all classes.
Wow.
So and that's the Sapulpa Center Hill match tomorrow. I think it's at 6:30. Tori says that's going to be an absolute track meet. So 2 good days of basketball lined up at the Cab.
It's probably worth the whole $7 to get in just to watch that one game, and everything else is a bonus.
Well, yeah, and 5 games involve Caldwell County, so I mean it's a no-brainer.
Right.
You know, to sit here and look and you have this kind of event in Princeton, you don't have to drive to Paducah or Draftonville or any place. It's right here. If you're a basketball fan, you really need to get out to the Cab today and tomorrow and check out all these games.
And we do need to give a shout-out to Tori Hammett because this thing is getting better year by year. This is by far the best lineup I think he's brought in, him and his crew. But there's going to be some good basketball, and you've got some D1 players. You don't get to see a 7'2" kid very often in Princeton.
No.
So come on out just to see that.
Very, very seldom do you see a 6'2" kid in Princeton.
Yeah. Well, playing for Caldwell County anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eli Pepper is kind of the
right.
We need to know where his water supply was.
The exception to the rule in Caldwell County because for whatever reason we don't get the big kids. But, yeah, the West Kentucky Hoops Classic is coming up. Just lots and lots of basketball action, and it's right here in town. So I encourage everyone to check that out. We need to get to another break here on the Sideline Report, but we got a whole lot more to go. So stay with us on WPKY.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
Expect showers and thunderstorms possible today with a high near 60. Showers and thunderstorms overnight with an overnight low around 50. Partly sunny tomorrow, high's going to be near 55. Mostly clear Friday night with a low around 29. And Saturday will be sunny with a high near 42. Mostly cloudy overnight Saturday night with a low around 31. And on into Sunday, more rain moving back into the forecast, high of 46. Showers and thunderstorms likely today, high of 60.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Penny Rowell Home Medical.
Happy holidays from Perry's Floors and More Princeton. They look forward to serving your flooring needs in the new year. They can replace your old worn-out floor with a new floor that will add warmth and style to any room. Choose from luxurious designer carpets, beautiful luxury vinyl plank or luxury vinyl tile floors that will stand up to the wear and spills of your family. Whichever floor you choose will be backed by reputable manufacturers and installed with expert care. See Bill or Lucy at Perry's Floors and More, 127 Market Street in Princeton.
We're back on the Sideline Report. Big day here in town with the West Kentucky Hoops Classic going on at the Cab. Again, just want to encourage everyone over and over to go out and take part in this. We're talking about Torrey Hammett, and he said that teams are even now contacting him to be a part of that thing, and that's how big it's gotten. And, no, it's not quite on the level of what they do down at Marshall County yet, but working on it.
But the thing I want to say is I know Torrey puts a lot of time in on this, and certainly kudos to him and whoever helps him, because this is a massive undertaking.
Oh, yeah.
You have to make several telephone calls. You've got logistics to work out, teams from 5 states coming in. So it takes a chessboard to kind of make things go. And my buddy Dennis here during the break was on Google, and I think we know what Sapulpa means now. I'll let Dennis take care of that.
Sapulpa means sweet potato.
Really?
In Creek Indian lingo.
Well, now we know. I just
all the facts that you need to know, just get them from Bob and Dennis.
The Sapulpa Chieftains.
Right.
And they will be here today and tomorrow. And, one of the toughest things to me is trying to fit together a schedule where you make everybody happy, because nobody wants to come and play somebody that's so much better than them that they don't get anything out of the game. But the reverse is true. You don't want to play a team that's so weak that you end up playing your starters for a quarter and then you're playing your bench. So the matchups are everything, and that's what the teams are looking for. These teams are actually coming here to play good teams.
Right.
And to Torrey's credit, he's gotten teams in here that they can match up with and judge how they're progressing in their season, and it's a win-win for Caldwell County.
Yeah, we talked to a couple of the Evansville parents the year they were down here and ranked so high in Indiana, undefeated when they came into the Hoops Classic. They said they just couldn't find good quality tournaments or quality teams to schedule outside the ones that they had to play in their districts in Indiana. So that's why they came down here, and I think they got a big wake-up call against Christian County, because that was a whale of a game to close us out in that tournament that year. But a good job by Torrey, and it takes a lot of people, like you said, Bob. I saw on Twitter last night Coach Kukihiko put a picture of his daughter on there while one of the teams, it may have been the Oklahoma team, was in the gym late last night after they arrived in Princeton getting some shoot-around in. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes that goes on in this endeavor right here.
And not only does Torrey have a lot of hands-on, his company, Goodwin Insurance Agency, is one of the premier sponsors, as well as First Southern National Bank, as far as Williams Fawn and Associates in that. So a lot of people are pouring a lot of money into this tournament, and we certainly appreciate that.
Well, and again, it's for the community. It's not just a basketball thing, but it actually helps the community as a whole to have an event like this right here.
And you don't know the economic activity this is going to create today and tomorrow for the businesses around here in Princeton. And so as I said earlier, it's a win-win situation all around here.
And it's a fundraiser at that for the basketball program and for the Caldwell County Athletic Department. So the money's going to a good cause. It's not just going to line Torrey's pocket. Torrey doesn't need the money, does he?
He doesn't have all the money, but I think he's got
he's
enough.
Got most of it.
That's what I say about me.
So it's going to be a fun time here, and it goes to a good cause. But you're not going to beat this for around Princeton, Kentucky.
We're talking with Dennis Stevens and Bob Hayes, who will call the action of the Caldwell County games today right here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, and online at WPKYonline.com. And we will have the live stream going today. So if you can't make it, you'll be able to watch the Caldwell games. But, again, if you get a chance, try to make it out to the gym today.
Absolutely.
While we're talking about basketball, I want to mention some former Tigers and a Lady Tiger that are still playing on the college level. Eli Pepper's having another big season at Lipscomb, and Lipscomb's off to a 9-3 start. Eli, a senior forward for that team, 6.5 points a game, 6.2 rebounds a game, which leads the team. And a big game coming up at Clemson for Eli, and he's had quite the career at Lipscomb.
Absolutely, and his last weekend performance in Louisville, the Lipscomb team holding Louisville to only a 5-point win, where the Cats play Louisville this weekend. Lipscomb has a team that can compete this year.
And you talk about a team that needs teamwork. That's an epitome of teamwork, is that Lipscomb team, because I think some of the big-name programs are kind of leery now when they're going to schedule Lipscomb, knowing that it could be a loss, like they went down to, was it TCU?
Yes.
And pulled off the upset down there. So people know about Lipscomb now.
And it's going to be a dangerous team come NCAA tournament time for somebody. Just the way that team can shoot the basketball, they give themselves a chance to win most nights. And really, I think if you look at some of the better teams they've played, even that Louisville game, if they take care of the basketball a little better, they might win those games.
And that was their downfall, their lack of being able to take care of the basketball at crunch time.
At Brescia, Lily Rogers is a senior. She's averaging 9.9 points and 3.9 rebounds a game, according to the best stats I could find from Brescia. Had a game earlier this year where she had 20 points, 9 steals, and 5 rebounds in a 72-62 win over Asbury. That was back on November 29th. And, of course, you might be familiar with her coach there at Brescia. Mm-hmm. It's Michael Gray.
Right.
So a big Caldwell County connection there. And
getting back to our local ties, I noticed in the paper maybe 3 weeks ago where we have a coach that's here in Princeton at Fort Wayne Lures, Bishop Lures.
Yeah, Fonzo White.
Fonzo White. And Fonzo played had a game where he lost by 1 point to one of the top-ranked teams in Indiana in his class. So congratulations to Fonzo for what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. Fonzo was a kid that when I was doing games on the radio years and years ago, he was actually a manager on the team. And then I think his either junior or senior season, they were a little short-handed, so he came out and played and did really well for them.
You love to see hometown kids do well when they leave the confines of Princeton and Caldwell County.
Another kid, Josh Wilkerson, is playing up at Kentucky State. He's a freshman guard, played in 11 games so far, seen some sparingly used time for Kentucky State, 18 points and 7 rebounds, but that's another kid that can play. Played at Caldwell County after playing at Lyon County. Took a year, had an extra year there before he went to college, so he's just a freshman now, and I think that kid can play someplace too.
And as he gets older and stronger and more physically mature, he'll do things.
So a lot of kids out there representing Caldwell County. Those 3 kids are playing basketball, and just a bunch of kids on football teams, and while the baseball rosters beginning to get difficult to keep up with because we have so many kids going so many different directions in college.
Absolutely, and we still have that opportunity this year again with our baseball teams. We'll probably send 2 or 3 kids to different places this coming year, as well as Lady Tiger softball. Yeah. I mean, we've already placed 3 or 4 of those ladies, and there may be more to come next year.
And you're going to get Bob talking about baseball. He's going to wish away 2 months of his life because
I'm going to say Paul Goldschmidt, and that'll be
when baseball starts. But you talk about doing baseball games, Todd. I don't think any better than Bob. I know he'd turn down the compliment and brush it off to other things, but he does a great job calling Caldwell County Tiger and Lady Tiger baseball and softball games, and I know he looks forward to that and does a wonderful job at it.
Well, thank you, Dennis.
Yeah. Can't wait till this spring because I think both teams are going to be pretty good again. I know the Tiger baseball team lost a lot to graduation, but I think the pipeline has been pretty strong, and I think they're going to have another good season this year. And the Lady Tiger softball team ought to be right there with anybody in the second region.
Right. You've got a couple of players already signed just here recently for the Lady Tigers, so that's a pretty deep well coming in this season for the Lady Tigers.
As long as we're mentioning former Tigers, though, I wanted to mention Purdue playing in the Music City Bowl. Elijah Sindelar will be on the sideline for the Boilermakers. Got hurt earlier in the season and didn't get to play as much this year as we would have liked, but understand that they're applying for medical hardship for him and maybe another year of eligibility, and that, maybe that looks pretty good on that front. So hopefully that's a kid that, if he can get that extra year at Purdue, I still think we can see some big things out of the kid with the big arm and Elijah Sindelar.
If he is granted that medical redshirt year, that'll be 2 years that he'll have to exercise and show his talents, and he definitely is pro caliber right now, pro size.
And I think something that helps that situation is the coach coming back and didn't take the offer from Louisville.
Right.
He's going to stay at Purdue. And that's some familiarity. If Elijah does get that extra year and he'll know the system that's in place right now at Purdue, you're right. There could be some big things coming out of the Big Ten.
Purdue playing in the Music City Bowl Friday at 12:30. And then, of course, next Tuesday, the Citrus Bowl, Kentucky and Penn State. Bob, how do you handicap that one?
That's pretty tough to handicap. I know everything I read has Penn State winning the game, so I love that type of situation. And I think the Cats play better with a chip on their shoulder, maybe especially Josh Allen and Benny Snell. And Josh winning every award he could possibly win this year as a defensive player. And willing to come play in the bowl, where every day I see things scroll across the television that this player's not going to play, this player's not going to play, and you got to pat those two kids on the back for coming out and helping their team, because they went there with the desire to make Kentucky better, and they have done that.
Well, the one thing I've noticed when it comes to bowl games in college football, a lot of times the team that wins those games is the team that's excited to be there. And I think when you look at these two teams, Kentucky, I think, is thrilled to be in the Citrus Bowl, and those games are kind of fired up. I'm not sure if Penn State looks at it the same way.
We'll see. On the first 2 or 3 drives of the game, we'll see how ready they are to play, and obviously how ready we are to play.
We just hope a referee doesn't try to help Benny Snell up off the ground this time.
Yeah, our thing is stay down, Benny, stay down.
Yeah, just get up quick and walk away.
Probably the worst call in the history of college football.
Yeah, that was tough to get over, and changed the complexion of the game last year for Kentucky in the bowl game. I mean, you take away the kid that's going to, be your workhorse out of the backfield.
And your heart and soul of your team.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid's leader. He and Josh Allen. Of course, Josh Allen is probably a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, but those two kids, like Bob said, that brings heart to that team. They're not going to sit out. I don't think they ever even thought about setting out of this game.
I would think they thought about it.
Enjoy.
I thought they maybe thought about it for 3 seconds.
Right.
And their heart is bleeding blue, and that's what they were going to do.
Well, I know people look at things from different perspectives, but to me, that bowl game is a reward for your season and a reward for doing well. And yes, I know a lot of these players, college players, have a lot of money waiting for them, at the next level. But I don't see how you turn down the chance to go play in a bowl game after you've played with your teammates all year.
Yeah. And the praise that Josh Allen continues to get is certainly to his credit. He was either the last scholarship offer Kentucky made when he was recruited, or the next to last, coming in as maybe a low 2-star. And that's the other thing. I watched the Bears play last weekend, and another 2-star Kentucky linebacker played well for the Bears, Danny Trevathan.
Yeah.
And so they come in with I'm sure both those kids came in with chips on their shoulder. They could play. They just didn't get highly publicized and praised like a lot of kids do. And they meant to accomplish things, and they've done that.
That's Kentucky and the Citrus Bowl Tuesday at noon. The game will be on ABC, and we need to get to another break here on the Sideline Report, but we'll continue right after this.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
Expect showers and thunderstorms possible today with a high near 60. Showers and thunderstorms overnight with an overnight low around 50. Partly sunny tomorrow. High is going to be near 55. Mostly clear Friday night with a low around 29. And Saturday will be sunny with a high near 42. Mostly cloudy overnight Saturday night with a low around 31. And on into Sunday, more rain moving back into the forecast, high of 46. Showers and thunderstorms likely today, high of 60.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Health First Community Health Center.
Fredonia Valley Bank and the Lyon County branch would like to send everyone warm Christmas wishes and hope your holiday season brings love, joy, and laughter your way. While you enjoy being with your family and friends, all the employees at the Fredonia Valley Bank hope you will come by and visit them during this festive time of year. Join them in knowing the celebration and blessings of Christ's birth. Visit us at 602 Cassidy Avenue, Fredonia, and 226 Commerce Street, Eddyville. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Back on the Sideline Report on a Thursday morning at 1580 103.3 WPKY. Joined this morning by Dennis Stevens and Bob Hayes, getting ready for the West Kentucky Hoops Classic up at the Cab Gym. We've talked about that quite a bit this morning, and just a staggering amount of talent coming into the Cab Gym, and looking forward to a big day and actually 2 days of basketball.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun up there. Come on out. If you're anywhere in the community, you don't have to do both days. Just come on out and check it out one day. Pick up a couple of games for $7. I mean, if you only watch a couple of games, you're still getting your money's worth. But there's some great talent coming in, and it's going to be a fun 2 days. I look forward to it every year now that this has been going on.
And just to watch a basketball game is, especially in person, is still a thrill to me. I don't care how old I'll ever get, and that's what is out here today at the Cab Building for you people out in radio land to come out and take advantage of.
Before we get any further, I do want to remind everybody about Dave's Deal of the Week at U-Ride in Princeton. It's a 2000 GMC Sonoma, red in color, four-wheel drive, a really good truck. Contact Dave at 270-365-3215. That's U-Ride, 310 Marion Road in Princeton, and ask about the Dave's Deal of the Week. Well, Bob, I know you are like I am, and you're a big St. Louis Cardinals baseball fan, so can't let you get out of here without asking your thoughts on the Cardinals' offseason moves and where you think the team is headed.
So far, I like what we've done in the offseason. We've signed Paul Goldschmidt, who takes over at first base. Notice we got a reliever about a week ago, Andrew Miller, who we seem to want to sign relievers that might be injured or coming off an injury season. So looking to hope that he regains his prior status. And then there was a kid from the Texas Rangers that we signed, kind of a five-position type player, a young kid, and we gave up some talent in the farm system, but we're loaded at the AAA level, and we can do that and get people back in their position, i.e. Matt Carpenter back to third base, and maybe Dexter Fowler regains his energy and his ability in right field. So I'm looking forward to the upcoming year, and the Reyes kid on the mound after setting out from arm surgery, and he was one of the top players in the minor league system 2 years ago. So future looks great in St. Louis.
Well, the thing the Cardinals have to stay away from this year is the injury bug that seems to have caught them the last couple of years. And, the team still won 88 games last year, so it's not like the Cardinals had a bad season, but it just seems like a key person gets hurt here or there every year, and that just kind of derails the season.
And maybe with Ozuna getting off-season help on his shoulder, and Harrison Bader a year older in center field, Paul DeYoung at shortstop, Colton Wong at second base, Yachty is the same old Yachty. He's going to hit 320 and hit 20 homers no matter how old he is. Looks great. Future looks good in St. Louis.
Well, and I guess the big question is, where does Bryce Harper end up? Because I saw a story online the last day or two that said the Cardinals might be the best team in the National League right now, which I don't know that I agree with that necessarily, but I do think they have definitely improved. But wherever Harper ends up is going to be a big deal as to who really ends up being the team to beat in the National League this year, or the American League if he goes that way.
Yeah, I've loved the Dodgers since I was 4 or 5, 6 years old. I'm not a Bryce Harper fan, though. And that's the Dodgers cleaned house the other day, making room for Bryce Harper. They're going to make a run for him.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
And you can't take anything away from him on the field. He is one of the probably maybe the best player, one of the 2 or 3 best players in baseball. It's the temper tantrums and the arguing and the stuff like that I think kind of sours me on Bryce Harper. But if he were to go to the Dodgers with the team that they have, even though they got rid of some, and I know there's a lot of people high on Cincinnati a little bit more right now after that big trade last week. But the Dodgers seem to be clearing some room and going to make a big run at Bryce Harper.
And with the Dodgers probably being in the position, I think he's maybe only looking at 3 or 4 positions or teams. I think the Cardinals may be one of them, but a scenario I read about 2 weeks ago is that with a 1-year contract, St. Louis has offered can be able to sign him for just 1 year and then let him see what happens after that, what he likes St. Louis. But I do expect the Dodgers to make the run for him.
It's going to have to be somebody with a lot of money because they keep throwing 10 years and $300 million plus, and it's tough to know if anybody is worth that. Maybe on a good year he is worth that kind of money to the right team, but if you make that commitment, and you look at what the Angels did with Albert Pujols. You know, the Cardinals made Albert a pretty good offer years ago, and he ended up going to the Angels, and I don't think he's ever been quite the player he was in St. Louis, and so, you know, that's a lot of money to dedicate to one person, and then you're kind of stuck with that contract for a while.
Especially as those players age and get older, your skills just decline a little bit, and a 10-year contract for Bryce is that last year it didn't exactly burn up the National League, hitting, 250?
Right. But I think he did have like 35 home runs and 100 RBIs, so for a down year for him, that's still...
That's production.
And you wonder how much he liked it in Washington, and if that was part of the reason he wasn't as productive. You know, I think somebody like that could end up in St. Louis and end up in a great situation and be a better player than they might be someplace else.
And I think that's true in a lot of cases. I think St. Louis is a true baseball town, and people getting traded there just almost like it's the ideal place, if you will. And I don't know whether Bryce feels that way or not, or whether he's just really interested in the money, or he wants to go somewhere where he's loved.
And you take a player like Mike Trout, who I think is probably the best player in baseball. He's kind of in oblivion playing for the Angels. He's got Pujols, but there's not a lot of excitement. It's not the premier team in California. You've got the Dodgers, you've got the Giants, even the A's made a good run here and got in the playoffs last year. So you take a Trout and put him in St. Louis, and they're building statues.
Well, and let's see what happens with Paul Goldschmidt now that that's a kid that's an MVP, type player right there.
Yeah, and we'll see how that change of scenery affects the Cardinals and affects Paul personally.
Sometimes just putting that one person in the middle of the lineup completely changes a baseball team. I mean, look at what happened to the Brewers last year when they put Yelich in that lineup, and he went on and was the MVP.
True. I mean, one player can make a whole difference in your season. As Dennis mentioned, Cincinnati helped themselves out this year.
Well, again, and that might have been the Dodgers just opening that right field spot so they can say, "Hey, Bryce, come on over." But
freed up a lot of money, a lot of the tax money that I don't understand, the luxury tax money for the Dodgers. They saved something like $17-18 million, which is. That's Bob Hayes' money. That's not Dennis Stevens' money. So.
And the Dodgers got rid of Yasiel, so that may be one of the
they got rid of a headache and probably
hidden moves behind the trade.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't know what kind of moves are still to come. I think the Chicago Cubs are maybe still in that Bryce Harper sweepstakes. I'm not sure. I mean, that would certainly swing the National League Central to Chicago, I would think. I mean, wherever he ends up, it's going to be a big deal. It's just a matter of does he live up to the numbers he ends up getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about hype, but I would think he'd be making a decision here pretty soon. A couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Spring training's not going to be that far away.
Yeah, I really thought Machado would put the Dodgers over the top last year, but he came in, really didn't contribute a lot in the second half of the season, and had some moments in the playoffs, but nothing to put him over the top.
And just one other thing I want to get to with you guys before we get out of here this morning. Big basketball game coming up this weekend. Kentucky and Louisville. Maybe, might have gotten a little under the radar this year, more than some years. But, I think going into the season, that looked like Kentucky was going to be a pretty heavy favorite. And right now, I think that game is closer to a toss-up. I haven't seen a line, but if I was trying to predict that game, I think it's anybody's ball game at this point.
I think it's going to be a dogfight, and after Kentucky's performance against North Carolina last Saturday, I feel really encouraged that I saw people on the floor actually working to make every other player better last Saturday against North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So I'm anxious to watch the basketball game. Louisville's a pesky team.
Maybe Calipari finally figured out, which guys need to be on the court together. Maybe that's when you have so many guys that were big-time recruits, and you've got 11 or 12 guys over there that can legitimately play, and he doesn't want to play that many. He wants to play 7 or 8. I think it takes a little while to figure out which 7 or 8 need to be out there.
I think Kentucky comes in 3.5 on the road. That's a good spread if they can get that. But what do you do with an 18-year-old? How do they respond at 18 years old after playing a whale of a game against North Carolina? Do they come in and say, okay, we've got this figured out, things are going to get a little easier now, or do they build on that and get a little more hungry? And that's what I'm looking forward to see, how they react off of that big game coming up against a Louisville team.
Well, I love the experience that we have on the floor. Reed Travis and P.J. Washington and Ashton Hagens created nightmares for North Carolina last weekend. As you've mentioned, Todd, I think Kentucky got better just by addition by subtraction, if you will. And no, I think the Cats, I'm sure this has been a great week of practice, and I'm sure they were shown that film of Carolina, what they did right and how they handled the game as it went along. I look for us to play well on Saturday.
And I think one of the surprising things, we talked about this playing golf a little bit the last couple of weeks, Hagens this time last year was a high school junior.
Right, yeah. He actually moved up and graduated early.
Yeah, so he had just a whale of a showing against North Carolina. He created turnovers out of nowhere.
I don't think you want to bounce a basketball in front of him, that's for sure.
Well, few players can affect the game the way he can without scoring big points, and that's what we were talking about earlier with Darian Boyd and the Caldwell County Tigers, that Darian's going to put up his points. I mean, we know he's going to get his points, but that's not the only way to affect the outcome of a basketball game, and the other guys need to pick up on those other things and pick up the slack. Then you've got a really good team because you know where everything is coming from.
Yeah, you got Darian. He's going to get 30, 35 on a given night, but you're not going to beat a lot of teams scoring 35 points. You've got to have some production from Davis. You've got to have some production from Fralix, some bench points, maybe Smiley and East
and Branch. We got 3 or 4 kids that can get into double figures when Darian's having his 30, 35-point game. So that's huge, and that's been our mantra the whole year, especially last weekend at Butler County. We distributed the ball well.
Well, anything else to add? I think we're about out of time, and lots of basketball coming up later today at the Cab. Again, the West Kentucky Hoops Classic. Can't mention it enough. Get out there and watch the teams. Caldwell County is going to be in 3 of the games today, so a chance to see the hometown teams and just to check out some extraordinary talent on some of these other teams too.
And just a shout out to Torrey Hammett for what he's done, and Coach Kukihiko and Coach Thomas. I'm sure they've had a lot of role in this as well. So we just want to invite everybody out to the Cab today to see some good basketball.
And I want to say thank you for having us on. We've done
absolutely.
Gator and DT. Now we've done the sideline report. We have reached the big time, Bob. We're like Summerall and Brookshire back in the day. But
you think it's time to ask for a raise, Dennis?
We've had a ball this morning, Todd, and thank you for having us on.
Yes, thank you, Todd.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in, and you'll be hearing from those guys again. That's Dennis Stevens and Bob Hayes. They'll have the call on WPKY 1580, 103.3, and WPKY online a little bit later on today. The Hoops Classic begins at 11 with the girls from Dawson Springs and Ballard Memorial. That'll be followed at 12:30 by Caldwell County and Fulton City boys. And the guys here will be on the air about 12:15 with that game. And the Caldwell County girls will play Martha Lane College right after that. And then just a big, long day of basketball, finishing up with Brighton, Tennessee, and Caldwell County's boys about 8 o'clock tonight at the Cab Gym. Well, that's going to wrap it up for another Sideline Report. This is Todd Griffin. Thanks for listening on WPKY.
Serving Caldwell County since 1950. We're 1580, 103.3 WPKY Princeton.
ABC News, I'm Maggie Rulli. back to work on Wall Street this morning after a huge day for the Dow. ABC Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis.
After the worst Christmas Eve for stocks ever, the largest single point gain in a day ever, with the Dow up more than 1,000 points.
In Washington, lawmakers will be back at work on Capitol Hill, but there's no sign that the stalemate over border wall money will break anytime soon. The partial government shutdown is now into day 6. President Trump's back at the White House after a surprise trip to visit with troops in Iraq.
For the first time during his presidency, delivering new orders to the troops.
The United States